Hi y'all, I am back with another video. I'm super excited to be here today because I'm finally doing a video where I am talking about books. I've gained such profound knowledge about things through books. I have read philosophy books, I've read books on health, I have read books on spirituality, consciousness, the cosmos. Like, those are the kind of books that I like to read. And I am so excited to be talking about them with you guys and being able to share them. So this particular video is going to be about the 3 first books that I read that was a catalyst to my spiritual journey. These were the books that, introduced me to energy, synchronicity, cosmic knowledge, consciousness, dealing with problems, thoughts, feelings, all those kind of things. So these were the 3 books that, kind of led me into the world of spirituality and creating your own reality. I really think that they're great beginner books that can really be a good start to getting into consciousness and, again, spirituality. So let's get into it. I'm gonna give you guys some background first with me, because I just feel like this has a lot to do with how I even got led to these books. My family, we weren't super religious, but my mom definitely believed in God. I had a part of my dad's side, they would go to church faithfully. They were heavy church goers, so they practiced Christianity. So my family practiced Christianity, but it wasn't nothing crazy. Like, it wasn't nothing super religious to where we went to church every Sunday or anything like that. Like, it wasn't anything like that, but we definitely believed in God. My mom definitely prayed, different things like that. So like, that was a part of our family. My dad's side of the family, they were the most religious. They actually lived next to their church. They would go to their church all the time. They would literally be there all the time. They were so active in the church. Like, they were the most religious people I knew. And actually down the line, so that was my dad's side of the family, and they weren't too fond of my mom's side. I actually, have seen them do these crazy things. I've seen them have behaviors that I was like, I don't think this seems very godly. So that kind of made me question religion a lot and question like what that was about, because they were the view that I had of religious people, and they weren't the best people. I forgive them for everything that they've done, but they weren't the most, like, they did like pretty bad things, in my opinion, that was uncalled for. A lot of the behaviors that I've seen in the church weren't very positive. Like, it was a lot of under, like, the back end. Like, it just wasn't good. And so these were the most religious people I knew, and they were actually the worst people I knew. So me and religion just didn't go well together. But again, I forgive them. There's no bad blood. Like, I forgive them. But I didn't have a really good relationship with God and things like that, because eventually I just kind of was questioning everything. Especially, I was going through a lot of adversity. Like, once my dad passed, a lot of things were coming up. Like, I was losing the home, they were doing terrible things. It was just really bad. So I actually got to the point where I became atheist. I didn't believe in anything. I didn't think anything existed. I had also had a teacher in high school who taught me to question everything, who taught me to understand my history and things like that, and like, again, question things that are going on in the news, media, all types of things. So all of this kind of led to like a pessimistic view, which ultimately led to like atheism. So I became atheist. I was really jacking that. I was really like, I'm an atheist. I don't believe there's nothing. I don't believe in anything. And I told my mom and everything, and she was kind of like, well, girl, I guess, like, but I believe in God. I know God got me. And I was just like, well, yeah, I don't know about that, because our life doesn't look very well. Like, I was just very pessimistic. At the same time, I was living my life. I was happy. Like, I was doing stuff, but I just didn't believe anything was there. I just took on that belief, and I was like, I don't really think there's nothing going on here. So around this time, I had lost my home. I had to live with I had to live with my aunt, and it was a cluttered house. It was pretty bad. It was run down. Like, it was pretty bad. Like, I had went from living in a 2-family home, having tenants, having the front garage and the back garage and the backyard and 2 floors in our crib. Like, I had went from that to living with 6 other people in a 2-bedroom apartment, like, cluttered, just bad. So again, I have a very pessimistic view of life, because I'm experiencing all these terrible things. So at the time, I was actually living in an apartment with those 6 people in a 2-bedroom apartment with my mom, and she just kept this like faithful attitude. Like, she just always just was on some like, it's gonna work out, I have faith in God, like, everything happens for a reason. At the same time, I'm an atheist. I'm like, I don't really, like, you're delusional, like, you need to give it up, like, there is no God, this is why we live in this life, like, whatever. And she just kept this like very faith-based attitude. She would pay the rent and do all this stuff even though she really didn't have it. She would just walk with so much faith, and she would just be like, nah, we're gonna get our apartment, it's coming soon. Like, she was making these like steps to like make it happen. So I'm just saying, like, all right, whatever, like, whatever. So then finally she comes and she's like, all right, we got the apartment, like, we're moving, So I'm like, oh, okay, it's litty, like, we moving, right? So, because I was not expecting that. I was really like, I don't know if it's gonna happen, but she, ended up doing it. But we ended up moving to Eastern New York around like Starlight. And then I seen that, so I'm like, oh, I see how she was moving. She was moving kind of faith-based, and then we got the apartment. So I'm like, so I'm starting to like, you know, be like, oh, maybe there is something. Then that's when I had got my job at Sephora near Starrite. I had ended up getting a Sephora job at Starrite. Mind you, I had wanted a change in career because I had been working in food a lot, and I didn't want to work in food anymore. And so I had really wanted to like work in something different. So I had got a job, and it was so coincidental to me that the Sephora I got picked for was near my house, you know, in deep in Starrite, which you wouldn't even think of Sephora's over there, but it was a Sephora inside JCPenney. And so that's kind of when I was like, okay, something's here, because how we get the apartment, and then I get the job right next to the apartment, and the apartment is mad nice. Like, it's just it's so like modern. It was cheaper than like usual. We had got a 3-bedroom. It was only me and my mom, so it was just like crazy the way things was happening. So I was like, oh, there might be something here. Like, it might be a miracle. Like, it might be something that, you know, I started to like be like, okay, maybe there is something. We finally got into the apartment. I started working at Sephora, so things were going good. I had started working out, doing stuff like that. So I had this like dream where I was like, okay, I want to start my own like fitness business. I want to sell like fitness equipment. I was just really into branding. I was starting to get into like branding and like things like that, whatever, and noticing like the brands that I shop with. So I was like, oh, I kind of want to have my own. So I was getting into fitness, and I was like, all right, I want to sell like fitness equipment. So I had found this girl, her name is Brianna Shanae, and she owns the Matte brand. So she was selling this course that showed you how to like start a business and start a brand. So I ended up buying it, and it was a really good course. I printed out the pages and everything. It was really good. Shout out to her. She's a huge inspo of mine. I really love her brand. I love her as a person. She just embodies like everything that I needed at that time. She was about her business, but she also mixed spirituality into her business. Like, I remember she had affirmations on SoundCloud, and I used to go to work every day and listen to those affirmations. I'll link it below if you guys want to hear it, but like, she's amazing, and I used to listen to her affirmations all the time. So I bought her course, and in the course she recommended 2 books. So now we're gonna get started with the 3 books that started my spiritual journey. Well, I'm gonna show y'all the first 2 books because those are the 2 that she recommended in the course. So the first one was Celestine Prophecy. The next one was Untethered Soul, which these 2 books ultimately led me to the Law of Attraction. These are the 3 books that I feel like was a really big catalyst to my journey and really just accelerated my thoughts and like my awareness of consciousness and how everything works in this world. The first book we're going to start with is the Celestine Prophecy. This is the first book that I read. It was amazing. Like, it literally, I don't know, I was just mind blown by it, like the stuff that it mentioned. This is the book that I learned about auras, energies, and synchronicities. And also a really big theme in this book is the 4 control dramas. The 4 control dramas is how you control a situation or how you control and manipulate situations in your favor. So the 4 dramas include being aloof, being an interrogator, being an intimidator, and being in a poor me mentality. Let's get into what each drama means. So aloof is a person who acts distant. They kind of hide what they're really thinking, or they're not answering like questions. Like, they're very short. They kind of like try to remain mysterious to keep control of the situation. So they kind of act aloof. An interrogator is a person who, they feel good by asking like aggressive questions, like, you know, just like interrogation, like you're in like, you know, a crime, and like, you know, like you get, you know, questioned, and like you're just like an interrogator, like you're just asking like these aggressive questions, and that's how you control the situation. Intimidator is a person who steals energy from other people by dominating them and then making them feel inferior. So like, you know, I'm gonna, you know, make you feel stupid, and that's how I'm gonna control the situation. And poor me is people who like, oh, woe is me, like everything happens to me, like to control things and to get things to work to their favor, like being like, oh, I just have to do everything myself, because like if I wanted somebody to do something for me, I'm gonna complain and be like, oh, poor me, like I just have to do everything myself. And it's just, you know, and it's pretty much blaming all, you know, just not taking accountability for nothing, just being like, oh, woe is me, I'm a victim. So those are the 4 dramas that, you know, people typically use to control situations. For me, I discovered from the book that I was using a poor me mentality a lot, especially because I was facing so much adversity and I was going through so many things. I was like, oh gosh, things are always happening to me. I lost my family, I lost my home, I lost this, like, oh, poor me, like I'm a victim, like people should empathize with me. Like, I was just always like that, but like I wasn't conscious of like the fact that I was doing that. That's just something that I was just doing, and I wasn't conscious of like what it was until I read this book. Like, until I fully got into this book, I was like, oh shit, like you be acting like a victim all the time, like that's crazy. You need to pack that up, like yo, need to be acting like that, like that's crazy. Then when I peeped that, I'm like noticing how certain situations would like play out because I acted like that, and it's like, girl, now I know. I'm like, okay, so now I can change. So that's the good thing about like reading and becoming aware of things, because it's like, okay, now I'm aware of it, what are we gonna do about it? And I also felt like I would act aloof at times. I wouldn't really communicate with people, or I'd keep it short just to like remain like you know, like, I don't want you to know too much, like, you know, I don't trust you, like, and it's like, you can't be moving like that. You need to have an open heart. Like, obviously have some discernment. You don't need to be telling everybody everything, but, you know, have some, you know, you have to be heart focused. Like, you have to have an open heart, and you can't just be like, you know, not want to be transparent, not want to communicate because you don't trust people. Like, those are like those people who be like, I don't trust nobody, like, I don't, they keep things short. Like, it's just like, pack it up. That was me. I was pretty much aloof and very poor me, and I was able to discover that by reading this, and so I really love this book for that. I also got my dream to go to Peru from this book, because this book is set in Peru. The main character goes to Peru and actually learns about these things from like different people that he interacts with by paying attention to synchronicities, which is kind of what we do in the real world anyways, if you're aware of it. This is a really great book to like start your spiritual journey if you want to get like a basic understanding of like, you know, the way people work and the way the world works and like different things. So yeah, I'm really grateful for this book, because again, I'm fiending to go to Peru, okay, because of this book, and I'm gonna make it there, and I'm gonna go. I actually have plans this year to go, so I'm very excited for that, and I just feel like it's very full circle that I'm talking about it. So yeah. So on to the next book. This is Untethered Soul. This is a really, really great book if you want to learn about detachment and kind of like how your feelings and your thoughts will create like your reality, but it makes you conscious of like how to control them, like how to be the watcher of your thoughts, and like how to sit there and just let it come in and then be able to let it go. So I think this is a really great book to learn how to work with your thoughts, because obviously we be having like a bunch of thoughts come in, like crazy thoughts too, that we just be like, girl, why was I thinking that? Like, you know, just all types of things. So it's just a good book to teach you how to shift your thoughts and be able to control them in order to create the reality, because again, your thoughts create your reality. So you need to be able to control them, because if you can't control your thoughts, you're just going to be thinking these crazy things, and then these thoughts are going to manifest into your external reality, because they're within. So it's going to come into your external reality, and you're just going to be, you know, because we're creators, that's what we do. So it's like we have to pay attention to our thoughts, and again, our thoughts also lead to our feelings, which is again what creates our reality. So it's all interconnected, and we need to be able to control them, and we need to be able to be aware of them, and this is a great book for that, so I highly recommend. And then we have the Law of Attraction, which is so good. I actually love, like, this is one of my favorite books. This introduced me to Esther and Jerry Hicks, which, okay, so I don't know if you guys, I'll put the audio, I'm gonna put the audio here so you guys can hear it, but a lot of people use
everything that I'm wanting, like, everywhere I go, things are lining up for me. I love how the ideas
things are coming. Like, she just has this voice, and I think a lot of people use the audio for like their TikTok videos and stuff like that. So that's actually the woman named Esther Hicks. She wrote this book, Law of Attraction, and basically, so the really cool thing about this book is, and just this whole like Abraham Hicks and, you know, Esther Hicks in general, is the fact that that's actually not her speaking, that's her channeling Abraham Hicks. Abraham are these beings from the non-physical world. Esther is channeling these beings, and they are speaking to us through Esther. So it's actually not like Abraham Hicks is not a person, they're a non-physical being that is being channeled through Esther. So Esther is the lady that you see on the YouTube videos. If you've seen her YouTube videos where she's speaking and she's kind of like, everything's working out, everything, you know, that's her. She's channeling Abraham, and Abraham are these beings that are non-physical. So in order to speak to the physical, they have to, you know, go through a physical person to have these messages be put out. So actually all of that is just her channeling. That's actually not even her. That's actually beings from, you know, the non-physical world. So that's a really cool thing about that. And so people like think it's her, and it's really not. Like, it's really like messages coming from like the non-physical. So it's like a very beautiful thing to be aware of. It's literally just about creating a reality, like being a magnet for things to come in, and how you can make yourself a magnet for those things to come in, and how that all works. It pretty much discusses how you can guide your emotions, because again, thoughts and feelings are what creates your reality. So it pretty much gives you a guide on how to, you know, be a magnet for the things that you want. Like putting your focus on certain things so that you can get a certain thing, or taking your focus off of something so that you don't attract that, because it doesn't matter what you focus on or what you like, what you're thinking. Like, it doesn't matter if it's what you want or if it's what you not want. Whatever you focus on, you're going to get. So, you know, and that's why I said, like, we're creators, so we're constantly creating all the time. So you really have to take control of your thoughts and like how you feel in any situation, because you don't want to attract more of that if you don't want it, or if you want more of it, you want to attract more of that. So you want to be in the feelings that attract the things that you want. So this is a great book about being a magnet for your desires, and also it's just a really good book where you get to like kind of see a conversation, because the book is set in like conversation between Jerry and Esther talking to Abraham, the non-physical beings, because Jerry actually has all these questions for the non-physical being that is being channeled through his wife Esther. So Esther and Jerry are husband and wife, and she actually is being channeled, like she's the channeler, and he's asking the questions to her, but it's Abraham speaking through her. So he's asking questions and she's answering them from the non-physical beings. So that's really cool because you kind of get to see like a person who has like these, because you know, we all have questions. We're all kind of like, well, why is this like this, and why is the world like this, and you know, why am I suffering, or why is that person suffering, you know? And so Abraham's kind of answering those questions that you may have and that Jerry had, and I think that's really cool. The other cool part about this is the fact that Esther didn't even want to get into this. She wasn't even trying to like get into clairaudience, wasn't trying to like do it, and Jerry was the one who was like, so like, okay, let's meditate, like let's get into it, like let's see if we could speak to somebody, like, you know, let's talk to Seth. Seth is another person who's like a non-physical being, like, you know, he was just like, let's talk to Seth and let's do it. And she was reluctant, she wasn't feeling it, but she actually, when she got into it, she actually ended up being the one who channeled Abraham, which I think was so cool. Esther is still alive, but Jerry is passed, and yeah, but I think definitely he was the reason like for her to get into it, and it's just so crazy to me that she's the one who channeled Abraham. And yeah, so I definitely recommend this book if you want to understand the law of attraction and you want to understand it on probably a metaphysical level too, because this book kind of gets into that, not super deep, but definitely on a, you know, a way that you can really understand it. Because I know a lot of like nowadays there's so much content and jargon about like how to manifest and how to do this and but you really have to like study, because it really is a science to it. Like it really is metaphysics, like it really is a science to it. It really is like a formula to it. If you're that type of person who needs that, not everybody needs that, but there really is, like if you really get into it, like it's really a great thing to like study. And so this is a really good book to like start off with. I was thinking I should read some highlights from each book that I highlighted as I was reading them. So we're gonna start with Celestine Prophecy. This is the first one. So I have like little, you know, tabs. These are good too if you're like a person who reads and you know you want to keep track of stuff. I'll put these tabs in here or whatever on the pages that I highlighted. So we're gonna read some of them. Okay, so this is one highlight about being an observer. So it says, the seventh insight says that we all have many more such thoughts than we realize. To recognize them, we must take an observer position. When a thought comes, we must ask why. Why did this particular thought come now? How does it relate to my life questions? Taking this observer position helps us release our need to control everything, and it places us in the flow of evolution. So basically, like if a thought comes and you're like, well, damn, like okay, let's say a thought like I'm fat or whatever, like I'm big back, like I weigh too much, like, you know, if a thought like that comes up, I'm gonna ask, why did that come up? Like, am I feeling insecure? Like, did somebody say I was fat? Like, you know, what's going on that made me do that? So now I can take an observer position, and then now I can change it. Because instead of going down the rabbit hole of I'm fat, I'm this, I'm that, I could just be like, why was you even thinking that? What are you like? Why was you even thinking that? So now I can be like, okay, you know what, let's change the narrative, you know, let's change my thoughts, let's switch it over, let's do it to something else. And that's the evolution that it talks about. It's growing, and you're going to evolve from that thought, because now you stopped and you said, why is this, why am I thinking this, instead of thinking it and then going down the rabbit hole of I'm fat, I eat this, I'm fat, nobody's gonna like me, I got this, I got rolls, I got this or that. Now you're picking yourself apart when you could have just stopped and been like, why was I thinking that? And you know, you observe it. This is a good one. So it says, the more we can love and appreciate others, the more energy flows into us. That's why loving and energizing others is the best possible thing we can do for ourselves. So I really like this, because it's like, this is not about, like, this is about loving and appreciating others, but it still has to do with you. Like, it's the best possible thing that I can do for myself. Not only am I loving and appreciating on another person, it's going to help me as well. Me loving and appreciating on another person is going to in turn bring love and appreciation to myself, which I love that. I think that's beautiful. So those are some of the highlights that I have from this book. I really love it. So one word that I learned from Untethered Soul was a samskara. So a samskara is a blockage. It's an impression from the past. It's an unfinished energy pattern that ends up ruining your life. I don't know if y'all know this, but I feel like a lot of people got a lot of samskaras. At the time I sometimes have like samskaras, like still, like, you know, obviously I'm a little bit more aware of it right now, but there are things from the past that like you don't, you know, that you need to still heal, that you need to still like transmute, and you know, it still comes up in your life and it still shows up in your thoughts and things like that. So that's a samskara. It's kind of like a blockage, an impression from the past that will block you from your evolution, because you're still on it, you're still holding it. So that's a really cool thing that I learned, a really cool word that I learned, and so I try to pay attention to that in my life as well. Oh, I love this one. This is a good one. So it says, the problem is that the part of you that gets disturbed is way out of balance. It's so sensitive that the slightest little thing causes it to overreact. You are living on a planet spinning around the middle of outer space, and you're either worrying about your blemishes, the scratch on your new car, or the fact that you burped in public. It's not healthy. If your physical body were that sensitive, you would say you were sick. But our society considers psychological sensitivities normal. So I really like that one because I like to take that approach a lot, where it's like something might piss me off, or like I might be overthinking about something, and I'm like, bro, you're literally spinning on a rock. You literally spin on a rock in space. Like, zoom out. Like, I love a zoom out approach. Like, I will do that all the time whenever something, like, when I start to overthink, I just zoom out and I'll be like, yo, the world is so much bigger than me. Like, it's so much bigger than this little ass thing that I'm dwelling on. Like, it's so much bigger than me. So I love that because it, again, like, is that zoom out approach that I think a lot of people need, especially nowadays with social media. Like, everybody's scrutinizing over every little thing. Like, we need to take a zoom out approach and realize that we're literally on a floating rock. Like, it's not that serious. Okay, so this one too, it says, eventually what started as a passing thought or emotion can become the center of your entire life. If you don't let it go, it can get completely out of control. When the energies inside start to move, you do not have to go there. For instance, when your thoughts start, you do not have to go with them. Let's say you're outside taking a walk and a car drops by. Your thoughts say, boy, I wish I had that car. You could just keep on walking, but instead you start getting upset. You want a car like that, but your salary isn't high enough. So you begin thinking about how you can get a raise or a different job. You didn't have to do all that. It could have just been, here comes the car and there it goes. Here comes the thought and there it goes. They're both going together because you didn't go with them. That's what it's called being centered. So that's a great thing, because it's like sometimes, like, and I do that sometimes. Like, I'll look at something and then I'll be like, oh my God, I don't have that. And now I'm thinking about why I don't have that. And I don't have that because I don't have enough money. And now I'm thinking about, now I don't have enough money. And I don't have enough money because I hate my job and my job doesn't pay me enough. And society sucks. And like, you just go down this rabbit hole and it's like, girl, like, you didn't even need to go there. Like, you didn't even need to go there. You could just let the car pass. You could just be like, oh, that's a nice car. I'm gonna have it one day, right? Like, now we can switch it. Like, now we could be like, I'm gonna have that car one day. That car is beautiful. I'm gonna add that to my car. Like, if I see something on the car that I like, I'm gonna add that to my car when I get it. Like, but instead you go down this rabbit hole. I don't have it. I don't this. And you think you're gonna attract it from that vibration? You think you're gonna attract it from that frequency? It's not happening. You're not. It's not gonna happen, because you know it's gonna be like, oh, this is the frequency she on, so I'm gonna give her more of that. Lack. You want a lack frequency. Whereas, like, if I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get that when I get my car. Like, when I get my car, I'm gonna put this on there. It's gonna be so nice. So now the universe is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna give her more of that nice. I'm gonna give her more of that nice stuff. I'm gonna give her more of that. I'm gonna give her, like, she's gonna see more of that. And so, you know, you really, again, have to pay attention to your thoughts, because they are literally the things that are creating your reality. See this, like, if you don't let go and instead get lost in the disturbed feelings and thoughts that arise, you'll see a sequence of events unfold so quickly you won't know what hit you. And this is the thing, like, we don't even peep how fast things can happen. And, you know, that's why you have to really pay attention to your thoughts, because you could think something and then all this stuff just start happening. And I know we've noticed it in our lives, like, where we think like, yo, I was literally thinking that, or I was literally just like, you know, like, I literally just was thinking about that, or wow, I really was thinking that and it happened. Like, you know, so it's like, if you don't let that shit go and you keep thinking about it and you keep dwelling on it, it is going to manifest as quickly as you was thinking about it, as quickly as that was happening. It's going to manifest as quickly as you think. The more energy you give it, the faster it's going to come. The more thought you give it, the faster it's going to come. The more negative feelings you put into it, the more negative things are going to come. So that's just really what this is, like, talking about. So that's also part of, like, what the book talks about is detachment, which is really, really important when it comes to, like, again, creating a reality. Because now let's say I see that car and my ex cheated on me and they had that car. Now I see that car. Every time I see that car, I'm gonna get in a bad feeling. So, and now I'm in a bad feeling, so I'm just gonna attract more bad things. Like, it just doesn't equate, because now I'm in a bad feeling and now I'm just be like, oh God, like, you cheated on me, like, you know. And so now I'm attracting negative things. That's why you have to detach. That's why you have to pay attention to your thoughts. So yeah, love it. We're gonna do law of attraction. So I have a couple highlights from there, not too many, because I really, honestly, I think I flew through this book, but it was just so good. I think I flew through it and I really didn't make too much highlights, but I put some tabs and, like, some things that I saw and I was like, okay, this is fire. If you focus upon whatever you want, you will attract whatever you want. If you focus upon the lack of whatever you want, you will attract more of the lack. Every subject is really two subjects: what you want and the lack or absence of what you want. If you are paying attention to the way you are feeling, you will always know whether you are focused upon what you want or upon the lack of it. For when you are thinking of what you want, you are feeling good. And when you are thinking of the lack of what you want, you are feeling bad. That's so basic. Like, if I'm sitting here thinking about something I don't want, I'm going to feel bad. So then I'm in turn going to attract more of that. if I'm thinking about what I want and it's making me happy, I'm gonna attract more happy things. It's literally, it's so simple, and it's not as simple to do and apply, but it is so simple. Like, it's such a simple concept. Like, I'm like not like a lot of times, like, how are we not aware of this? Like, but again, we've lost a lot of the ancient ways and like spirituality and stuff like that. So that's just part of this thing, but that's also part of our evolution back to oneness, which a whole other topic, but and I will get into it. But yeah, so yeah, those are the 3 books that started my spiritual journey. I hope you guys loved this video. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was insightful. I definitely recommend them. And yeah, let me know in the comments any books you guys recommend, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.